So tonight we're going to talk about something a little different as well. Not a topic that we often cover in this program, but one that's important, and that is your skin and your food. Your skin is the largest organ that you have, and it does things. It's not just covering your body, right? So for those of you who don't know Dr. Timothy Howe, he is an internal medicine specialist here at Midcoast Parkview Health. Dr. Howe and I have worked together a year or two. Plus a couple decades. Dr. Howe is a wealth of knowledge on lifestyle medicine and these kinds of topics. So I appreciate him being here tonight, and I appreciate him covering something that's a little less common for us. Thank you.
Well, your skin. Don't you like skin? I do. I like my wife's skin. I like my grandchildren's skin. You know those little babies, their skin's so nice, and then they get older, right? And then we get older still. And, you know, I don't mind wrinkles. Some people really don't like wrinkles, but to see a weather-beaten face, that's attractive to me. Maybe I'm just a little different, I don't know. But I would never get a facelift. You know, I think the most important thing is that your wrinkles are smile wrinkles, right? And not the other kind. But a lot of people want to slow the aging of their skin, and how you eat affects that. And then, of course, no one wants skin cancer. However, I will tell you that with the non-melanoma skin cancer, people that have more skin cancers have less risk for internal cancer. And that's probably because sunshine, which is hard on our skin, lowers the risk of internal cancers. Sunshine is good for us, and it's hard on our skin. And we'll talk about that a little bit as the evening goes on. As Cheryl mentioned, the skin is our largest organ. Well, not really. You know, it's 21 square feet in the average person. If you took the lung and spread it out, it would cover about half a tennis court. You know, so, but we say it's our largest organ, so that'll do. It weighs about 9 pounds. There are more than 11 miles of blood vessels in the skin, or to the skin. That's a lot. You know, stretch that out. 11 miles, how far could we go? Would we get to Bath? Yeah, we'd get to Bath. That's a lot of skin, blood vessels just to your skin. And so you need to be aware that if you want healthy skin, you need healthy blood flow, right? Yeah. And the average person has about 300 million skin cells. It's the most vulnerable organ in our body because it's exposed. Well, we cover it up this time of year, but you know, if you look at my hands, I've beat them up, and I've got a splinter in my thumb. I was doing some woodworking for my son, and you know, we cut it, we abrade it, we scrape it, and then there's the solar aspect, sunshine. Ultraviolet rays affect the sun and skin, and then there's inflammation. Anyone ever had a rash? Yeah, we've all had rashes. That's inflammation, and there are lots of causes of that. So the skin takes a beating, and fortunately, it's very resilient. You can cut yourself. When I was just a little boy, I was about 11, someone had left a jointer in the shop where I grew up, and I thought, I wonder what that does. Well, I found out it does really nice at planing wood, but it also planed the finger. And I've got a nice scar on my index finger where I rammed the finger through the jointer when I was 11. But you know, it's healed up and I've still got a functional finger. Skin's amazing and with its healing properties, particularly if you have good blood flow. For diabetics, that's a big problem, as some of you may know. And it's primarily because diabetics have impaired blood flow to the skin. And if you have impaired blood flow, the skin takes a long time to heal. So it's important that we take care of our skin. And to maintain optimal health for our skin, we need lots of antioxidants or anti-inflammatory compounds in our nutrition or in our food. And we need good blood flow, healthy blood flow. That's really the key to maintaining healthy skin, those things. So we'll cover tips on slowing the aging of your skin first. And the first one is choose your parents carefully. You know, some people just have better skin. They're born with better skin, and their parents had it, and they do better, and they age more slowly. Others just wrinkle up, and some of that's genetic, a large portion of it. But other than that, the most important thing that you can do if you want your skin to look young, which isn't particularly important to me, but some people it is, it's to avoid the sun. Wear a hat, use sunscreen. They've done multiple studies where they take a group of people. One study I reviewed for this course, they took 900 women and they divided them into two groups. Half they had put sunscreen on every single day during the study. Didn't matter if it was raining or if it was cloudy. They had them put sunscreen on their faces every single day. And the other group, of course, as they wished. And at the end of the 3-year study, the skin on the people that put sunscreen on every single day looked much younger than those that didn't. Be careful of your sunscreens. You know, make sure you have a healthy one or a safe one. And you can look that up online. Environmental Working Group is a good site. But if your skin is really important and you don't want wrinkles, well, sunscreen, that's the most important thing that you can do, at least on the skin that other people will see. You don't have to put it on places they won't see. And I've spoken about bone health and the importance of vitamin D and often said, I really think we ought to start a new style for men and women in the garden, and that is backless shirts. Because you're bent over anyway, and sunshine's really good for us for vitamin D. And how many of you show off your back when you go to town? Not many, right? We do other things to expose our skin, but not much of our back. So when you're in the garden, wear a backless shirt, and then you'll get your vitamin D and you'll save the skin that you want to look young and healthy. But avoid sun or use sunscreen on skin that you want others to see. Another thing that's really important is keep your blood sugar normal. If you take a person that has a blood sugar of 120 and compare them to someone with a normal blood sugar, which technically is less than 100, but in reality a fasting blood sugar should be around 90 or less. If you compare those two individuals, the person with a sugar of 120, that's not diabetic, that's pre-diabetic, will on average look a year older than the person with a normal blood sugar. For every increment of about 20 points, you look a year older. So that's why diabetics age more rapidly. And that's because of something we've talked about many times here, and that is glycation. How many of you know about glycation? Yeah, many of you. Let me just review it for those of you who don't. Glycation is a process of attaching sugar to protein or to fat or to DNA. And when sugar binds to those other molecules, sugar, fat, or DNA, it binds in an irreversible, non-enzymatic fashion, and it stiffens the molecule. And the example that I think is the easiest to understand is the red blood cell. This is what we measure in diabetics when they come in to see me in my office. I'll measure their hemoglobin A1C. Another term for that would be glycated hemoglobin, that is hemoglobin that has sugar attached. And when you attach sugar to the red blood cell, it stays attached for the life of the red cell, and it stiffens the hemoglobin. And when that occurs, that red blood cell, which is 7 to 8 microns in diameter, can't flow through the capillaries that are 3 to 4 microns in diameter. It clogs the system. Sugar clogs the system. It clogs the blood flow. And that's because of stiffening. But we're talking about skin. Guess what? You can glycate collagen. Our skin is loaded with collagen. I mean, that's basically what it is collagen. And if you stiffen the collagen, the skin wrinkles and the skin sags and you lose that baby face, you know. Question.
How do you stiffen collagen? How does that happen?
It happens when you attach sugar to it. And if you eat sugar and your blood sugar goes up and your tissue sugar goes up, sugar non-enzymatically attaches to all proteins in our body and all fats to some extent. The higher the sugar, the higher the glycation. And if you get the glycation up on red cells to about 11%, that means you're running your blood sugar in the 200s. And glycation, it's called advanced glycated end products or age products. Age products age you. Okay? Glycation is one of the major mechanisms of aging. And you can see it in the face. If someone runs a blood sugar of 120 fasting, they're not a diabetic until they get to 126. But if they're running 120, on average, they'll look a year older than someone with a normal blood sugar. Question.
What about fruits that are full of sugar, like figs
Great
and raisins
question.
and...
What about fruits? I don't have a problem with you eating sugar of any kind, provided you absorb it at a rate that's not faster than your body can process it and store it, or you burn it. Sugar is what our body runs on. It is not a poison. It's the fuel of the body. There are other, of course, too, proteins and fats. But sugar is the preferred fuel of the body. It's, you know, saying sugar's bad for you is like saying gas is bad for your car. It's not. But if you eat it in a form that you absorb it more rapidly than you can process it, then glycation is increased and you are aging yourself totally, not just your skin. But we're talking about skin tonight, and it's really interesting, the studies that dermatologists that make their living on skin have done looking at skin and aging, and it has to do with glycation or stiffening of the collagen. Now you say, well, why don't you measure collagen when your patients come in with diabetes instead of red cells? Well, red cells turn over every 3 months, or they die every 3 months, or you could say their lifespan is 3 months. Collagen, it's several years, so I could never make money that way. I could only see my patient every few years. and 3 months is a lot better. It allows me to keep track of the patient and encourage them to watch their blood sugars. But collagen is found in bones as well. And you've heard of osteoporosis and fracture risk. One of the risks is high sugar diets causing the bones to be brittle, because if that collagen is stiff, the bone will break more easily. And that's why diabetics have increased risk of fracture, because of stiffening of the collagen in their bones. So this affects all of us. It affects the DNA, and that's why diabetics are at double the risk of cancer, because if you stiffen the DNA, when you have cell replication, you have more mutations. And that same thing, glycation, affects our skin. Skin is really just another way to look at all the things that we usually talk about. And since it's right there and you see it when you look in the mirror, it helps you to think, oh, maybe I should be a little more careful to eat fruit rather than fruit juice, because if you eat fruit, you absorb the sugar like this, more slowly. If you have fruit juice, it comes in very rapidly, and you can overwhelm the body's ability to process the sugar and get it out into storage or for use. So you want to do your best to do your body a favor based on the way you eat. So that's sugar. I think it's very important to understand. Now, the next one is eat green and yellow vegetables daily. You know, you don't like to have a sallow looking skin, right? In fact, they've done studies to show that if the kids are looking for a mate, you know, when they're in their 20s, and they're looking for a mate, they gravitate towards someone that has a healthy color to their skin. You're not as attracted to someone with pale, sallow skin. And so, you know, we all go out and try to get some sun. And that gives us a little yellowish tan color to our skin, and we appear more attractive to each other, or more healthy. Well, they did some studies and found out that you could get that same healthy glow to your skin if you ate vegetables rich in carotenoids or beta carotene and other carotenes. There are over 400 different carotenoids, but the best source of those carotenoids that give you a nice, healthy, sort of a golden glow, we could call it, are greens and yellow vegetables. So if you say, well, I want to have that nice look to my skin, but I don't want to get tanned on my face, well, eat some kale, or some broccoli, or some sweet potatoes, or some winter squash. You know, it's hard to get a suntan in the winter here in Maine, so eat some winter squash. It'll give you that golden glow, and it'll make you look healthier. Now, if you're not looking for a mate, maybe you want to go easy on it, but yeah. Maybe your spouse would love to see it on your face anyway. But those green and yellow vegetables are rich in those that give your face a golden glow, but they do something else. All the carotenoids are antioxidants as well. You see, single thing we eat, in order to utilize it, we have to do what? You got to burn it. If you don't burn the fuel you eat, it doesn't do you any good. And yet, if you burn it, you're causing oxidation and inflammation, which is bad for you. Well, are we going to stop eating? No. That'd be like stopping giving your gas car. gas to your car. You don't want to do that because you have to burn that fuel to run it down the road. But you know, if you never drove your car and you had it stored nicely, it would last a lot longer. That isn't true of the body, but it is of a car, because oxidation inherently is hard on the car, and it's hard on us too, unless we eat a diet that's rich in antioxidants, which are anti-inflammatory. Well, all of our vegetables and fruits that are colorful and the allium family, garlics and onions, are rich in antioxidants. What foods are not rich in antioxidants? Meat, fish, chicken, turkey. Why? When an animal dies, it has no need to preserve itself, right? It's gone. And so there are no antioxidants there. And yet those are very calorically dense, and when we eat them, there's a lot of inflammation that happens to our bodies. And that's why many studies have shown if you eat a high meat, high fat diet, your skin is going to age, and you're going to get more cancer. And if you eat a whole lot of greens and yellow vegetables, it helps prevent that inflammation and oxidation that occurs. Could you take a pill? No, it doesn't work. Well, I want to take my beta-carotene pill. Fine. Go ahead and take it. I'll have some kale and my levels will be higher than yours. Because we don't absorb it well from a pill, but you do from the food. I had a cartoon in my office for years. It had a picture of this elderly lady, and she said, "I'm going to try a new supplement, food." and that's what we all ought to do. If you want to get your antioxidant level up, greens and yellow. Greens are wonderful for your skin. If you want to have beautiful skin, eat greens. It really will help. All right, eat foods rich in phytoestrogens. You know, we used to give estrogens to women. I remember a gynecologist that worked here at Parkview for years, and he said, "I'm going to ask the good Lord when I get to heaven why he stopped women's estrogens." Well, he spoke too soon, because we figured out they caused problems, and so we stopped giving them to women, and the year we stopped, within 1 year, the breast cancer rates fell measurably. Well, that's why we don't give estrogens to women, but phytoestrogens reduce breast cancer risk and improve collagen density and skin tone. Well, there you got a win-win. Phytoestrogens improve bone density, they improve your skin, and they lower your risk of cancer. Well, we need more phytoestrogens. There's some studies that have been done on women with breast cancer, and if you switch them from dairy, which increases your risk of breast cancer, to soy milk, you can reduce the risk of recurrence by 30%. Well, I like that kind. That's as good as some of the anti-hormone stuff they put you on after breast cancer. So phytoestrogens, they increase collagen production in the skin, and soy is one of them. In fact, all beans do. Black beans actually have more phytoestrogens than soybeans. They just don't have as good publicity. But eat your beans and you'll get the phytoestrogens and improve your skin.
Make sure it's organic soy.
Yes. Why organic soy? Because soy is one of the crops that is GMO largely. And they use it, they make it GMO so they can use Roundup on it. And Roundup has all kinds of problems. So you want to avoid non-organic soy. Yes.
I just wondered on the beans, like black beans, if I buy organic canned black beans, the juice Do you save it? Do you throw it away? Is it good?
What do you do with the juice from beans, Cheryl?
I throw it away, except for garbanzo beans. I keep that
Why do you keep that, Cheryl?
because I make funny things out of it, like meringue and
Yeah, you can make all kinds of stuff with bean juice if it's from garbanzos. You can make a meringue that is just as fluffy as from an egg. It's amazing stuff. I don't throw the liquid out, but she does. I don't use canned beans, I use dry beans, you know, but it's okay. Do whatever you want. I grew up with a grandmother who didn't figure she'd eaten for the day if she didn't have beans. And she always had a pot of beans simmering on the stove. And then she'd put great big dumplings in the beans. And boy, those were good. I'd like to have some right now. Anyway, beans. Maine was built on beans. I mean, that's what they fed all the lumbermen, beans. Has anyone read the book Eat and Run by Scott Jurek? He said the best thing to eat on a ultra marathon was a bean burrito. Beans are one of the ideal foods, and don't believe that trash about lectins. Lectins are absolutely no problem for you as long as you cook the beans. How many of you eat raw, dry beans? Nobody does. And if you cook them, then lectins are not a problem. But I'm off topic. All right. Eat foods rich in phytoestrogens. That increases collagen production. Flax is another one, and there's another reason to eat flax. Flax improves the hydration of the skin and makes it look plumper and fuller and less wrinkled. Question.
What about corn, which is super sweet?
You mean about sugar? Yeah. It's not a problem if you eat the whole thing instead of the corn syrup, because it's got plenty of fiber in it. So keep eating the corn. All right. There's flaxseed. 1.5 teaspoons of flax a day will improve skin hydration. If you're taking flax for blood pressure, about 2 tablespoons works as well as a blood pressure medication. They've done head-to-head trials. That's another one that has phytoestrogens in it and will lower breast cancer and prostate cancer risk. All right, to reduce your risk of skin cancer, reduce the fat intake to less than 20% of your calories. The average American gets 37% of their calories as fat. They did a study where they took people, kept them on a usual American diet, 37% of their calories as fat. They took another group and reduced them to 20% or less. And at the end of the study, there was 10 times more skin cancer in the ones on the 37% fat versus 20%. And 20% fat is not low fat. It's, moderate fat. But that's a huge number. Tenfold less by going low. And they didn't put them on a vegan diet. They just reduced the fat from 37% to 20%.
And that's all fat, even healthy fats, fats that are...
Yeah, it's just reducing the fat. Yeah, total fat. Yeah. And we can get into healthy fats and all that. But here's the bottom line on fats. A healthy fat is one that is eaten as nature provides it to you. Okay? Any oil that you can name plant-based oil, comes from a food that's high in fiber and high in antioxidants. Why would nature do that? Because it knows that fats go rancid, and fats cause inflammation because they go rancid or oxidized. So it packs all fats with fiber and antioxidants. So eat the whole thing. That's why Cheryl dump oil in something tonight. Not that oil is necessarily bad for you, but it's not as good for you as the whole food. Because when you make olive oil, what do you do with the pulp? You throw it, you just threw out the fiber, which is one of the most potent antioxidants, to say nothing of the other antioxidants in the olives. How about avocado? If you make avocado oil, what'd you do with all the fiber? You pitched it. But fiber is one of the most potent antioxidants because its effect on the microbiome and production of butyric acid by the microbiome. But that's another lecture. I'm just telling you, if you want to have fat, great. Eat it the way nature provides it. Nuts and seeds and grains. That's where the fat, and beans, soybeans have enough fat, we make soybean oil. Eat the whole bean rather than the oil and you'll go a lot further and have less inflammation and less heart disease and less cancer and less skin cancer. Back to skin. All right. So, I mean, that study was amazing to me, that they took people and just reduced their fat intake by 17% and cut skin cancer risk by tenfold. Yeah, that's amazing. All right. Reduce your intake of foods that are rich in calories and low in antioxidants. What's that? Meat and fat. If you go from a standard American diet to a plant-based diet, you're going to reduce your risk of skin cancer, period. Why? Because you're reducing inflammation and oxidation and increasing antioxidants. And that's true of cancer anywhere in our body, but particularly in the skin because we're exposed to sun. And frankly, I love sun, don't you? So does my cat. Have you noticed that? And is sun bad for us? No, but we should get into the habit of getting lots of sun with our clothes on. Why? If you can feel the warmth from the sun, you're getting one of the most potent benefits from the sun, the near-infrared light. And near-infrared light is anti-inflammatory. When you feel the warmth from the sun, you feel better because you are better. It produces, when you get near-infrared light, it makes melatonin in the mitochondria in the cell. And melatonin is one of the most potent antioxidants in our body. And what's the mitochondria do? Well, it burns stuff. It's the stove of the body. Isn't it interesting that your body makes an antioxidant exactly where it's needed when you get near-infrared light from the sun? Guess what? You can get near-infrared light in front of your fireplace too, or your stove. So I look forward to winter. I can't get it from the sun as much, although if you can feel the warmth of the sun in the winter, you're getting it, and you don't have to strip down to naked. If you can feel the warmth through your clothes, you're getting near-infrared, but I can sure feel it from my fire. And you get benefit from that too. Yeah. So if you're going to go out in the sun, go out early when you can first feel the warmth from the sun and get the anti-inflammatory part of it. And then when the sun is higher in the sky and you get that UVB, which helps your body make vitamin D, but is also inflammatory, you've already had your body prepared for sunlight. You know, it would make sense that the good Lord would give us a beneficial as well as, you know, we get some negative, but we're already protected if we get the near-infrared light first in the day. And you don't get much ultraviolet damage from the sun before 10 o'clock, right? So you've gotten the near-infrared light. The problem, it's really interesting, they did a study on aircraft carrier, and they found that the men that worked on deck had less skin cancer than those that worked below deck. Why? Because they were out in the sun all day long, and they got the near infrared that protected them from the harmful effect of the UVB. But the people working below deck, they worked down there and they only got up around noontime and got some good sun and got their tans and skin cancer because they didn't get the near infrared like they should first. So if you're going to go out in the sun, go for the whole day and put on sunscreen by 10 o'clock. All right. Increased intake of vegetables and fruit reduces the risk by increasing the antioxidants. And then I mentioned avoid sun or use sunscreen. Any questions? Yes?
Can you discuss hydration and lotions and?
Yeah. Hydration and lotion. The most important thing is drink enough water. Okay? And then you want to do what you can to increase collagen. And you can increase collagen not by eating collagen, that doesn't work too well. You need to eat things that promote collagen. Phytoestrogens, which I've mentioned, do. And so do the cruciferous vegetables, cabbage and kale and collards, and all of those help the body to make more collagen, and then if you drink enough water, you hold on to that. The other thing is creams. Generally speaking, don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't eat, because it's more harmful on your skin than in your mouth. And you say, why is that? Well, anything that you eat, when it's absorbed, it goes through the liver and toxins are detoxified by the liver. But if you put it on your skin, it's absorbed without going through the liver, and so it can cause you more harm. So be very careful what you put on your skin. I have a friend who makes special things to put on your skin for me that I use for some of my diabetics that have cracked heels and trouble with their skin. But it's so healthy, you could just chomp on it and eat it. She makes it out of beeswax and different vegetable oils, and I have some on my hands tonight.
Recommend for like dry skin?
Yeah, dry skin, I recommend that you use a natural product that has ingredients that you would eat. Don't get me going on that. I'd have to call Cheryl up because she's big into skin products. But generally speaking, nothing on your skin that you wouldn't put in your mouth. And that's a good rule of thumb. Yeah. Any other questions?
Are greens healthier for you cooked or raw, or does it not matter?
Great question. Are greens healthier for you cooked or raw? And the answer is both. You get some benefits from uncooked greens, but when you cook them, you're able to absorb some of the antioxidants better. And so I'd say I don't want to eat cooked lettuce, but cooked kale is okay. I can eat broccoli raw or cooked. And, you know, see what you like. The best green is the one you eat. However you want to eat it is fine. And chew it thoroughly. And the water that you cook the greens in, drink that too. Yeah.
I've been a fan of shea butter for decades.
Yeah, shea butter is great, no problem. That works very well.
It passed your test of...
Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't die if you ate it. I wouldn't recommend you do it as a staple, but yeah. But you wouldn't die if you put it on. Cheryl.
For you ladies, shea butter is great, but I probably wouldn't put a lot of just pure shea butter on my face because it can clog pores.
Yeah.
So shea butter for ladies, great on your feet, great on your legs. Just be careful with it on your face.
Right, because it can clog your skin pretty well. All right, well, thank you very much. Any other questions, you can come up afterwards, and take care of your skin. But a few wrinkles are fine. Just make sure they're smile wrinkles.